We're back to part 3, and we're going to mat the rest of our album. Now, when I say mat, I'll be matting the big parts of the pages before I put them on the hinges. Things like our waterfall flaps, I don't mat till the very end because I don't want to cut into full sheets of paper. I'll be using my scraps. And especially since this is not like a full line, the French Country, it's a collection, deluxe collection edition where it's been a re-release. We don't have, you know, the 6x6 and other pads to work with. So I like to do it this way, and I always forget when we start. Let's turn off the phone. Sorry. So I cut my mats. So the first mat I cut, and it's the back of the sunflower, so I'll go with the green. And so my page width is 6. I'm not double matting most of my pages, just some of the, like I did the front one that I really want to stand out. So it's 5 7/8 that I cut my matting, and 8 3/8. That will be standard for matting all my pages unless I'm going to double mat them, and I'll let you know. So I cut all my mats then 5 7/8 by 8 3/8. Again, that will be your choice. I did change my ink choices. I'm going to be using the Adobe House instead of Sepia by the Color Philosophy Prima because it's a little darker and it gave a little more antique-y look to the paper where it's a darker paper. So now I'll go ahead and had my glue all open, and now it's going to act up. I don't want it tacked up right in the beginning of the video. Sorry. Let's go ahead and reopen this again. It's getting time to probably just soak my tips and clean them tonight. So matting actually will go by quite quickly. That's going to have to stay. It's a little off, but it's too late for me to grab it. Like I said, if the art glitter glue is something you have not used before, it does dry fast. It doesn't give you a lot of time to, move your placement. Okay, so there's page 1. Page 2 is our little pocket. So I cut, this will go on the back. This is what we used on the front cover, so I went ahead and just went with that sheet. This is the back of the green, the sunflowers, so it'll coordinate well with that page. And I did cut my matting, came out to be 3 inches by the 8 3/8 for the front. And after we get everything matted and we put it on the hinges, then I will leave the rest up to you for decorating. I will go ahead and finish mine, and I'll do a video walkthrough, not a complete decoration, because it's very difficult for me to decorate on camera because I'm just so indecisive, to be honest with you. So I think I am actually changing my mind here. I'm going to go with the gold. I was going to put the green, but I decided I really like the gold with the sunflowers, and then I'll put this on the inside. This was originally going to be on the outside, but now seeing this gold vintage, not gold, it's the Buttercup, I believe, from Bo Bunny. It just looks really good with the sunflowers. Now one thing, I want to work it around that magnet to make sure that the paper is stuck. And I did cut another strip that's 1.5 inches by 8 3/8. May have to trim it there. Let's see, because it's got to go on top of the magnet there. Oh no, that's going to be great. And that will just, it'll also cover the magnet so that the magnet won't get in the way of any of our tags or anything I put in there. Plus, we don't want to knock that magnet off. And I'll use the polka dots for this side. Okay. I'm just going to go inside and make sure there's no glue. But I'm also working it, the paper, you know, over the magnet to make sure that the glue is sticking that paper down again. And get your corners down. See right where that magnet is. It's not catching that edge. And then I'm going to use the more vintage side instead of the polka dots. More ink. Sometimes those edges just right above and below the magnet, because there's a little, you know, the magnet's pushing up on the paper a little. Sometimes it doesn't catch right on the edge, so just make sure that it catches. Now you could even run a 1/8 of an inch if you wanted to really put a teeny tiny strip along the top there. Now on my back side, oh, I cut this too short. I measured it for the inside pocket. Whoops. Wow. It's a really good thing I had this strip left. So we can now add a little decoration there, which is great. I cut it to the inside, not thinking, but that's okay. I'm glad I kept this piece from the inside. This will tie it all together. Put that up towards the top. Just leave that like that because I'm going to cover it. And then, more than likely, I think on the sticker sheet, there's a border. I have to double check. And I'll run it across the top there. I haven't really looked at the sticker sheet. So let's see. I have to stop hitting that. I know. You guys on the other end are like probably going really dizzy. Oh, yes, we have the gorgeous one with the roosters. into that edge. Back on. And ink the edge also. I should have just done it in the cutter. And I know you're probably saying the same thing. Why don't you just put that in the cutter? There we go. Ink it because I've got such a white edge from cutting it. There we are. Now I do want to go over that. So there. That was an easy fix. I'm hoping that's straight. It doesn't look so straight, does it? See, this is why I don't usually, no, we're leaving it, decorate on camera, because I just totally mess it up. And then I'll be putting one of the chipboards there, probably a chipboard button. So there we have that page, and then our pocket. We can set those guys aside. Okay, so now we're page 2, the waterfall, well, page 3 basically. So I chose this because when I use these really pretty prints, I like to have really it to be the focal point. So when you open the waterfall, now on the waterfall, then I'll be using the coordinating bow bunny, and I'll wait until again the end so I can see what, you know, what I have, so I don't have to cut into the items. Whoops. And I have already inked the pages, and the Adobe looks really great with this. And down it goes. That's all there is to that right now. Okay, waterfall up. Did I choose this one? Hold on. Whoops, my pages, I did. Okay. So, which side do I want? Probably this side. Now, this is the no, that's not the decaf. This is the butter. Gotta be the butter. So I give you the right ones. There it is. These are just gorgeous. Chiffon vintage. Again, it matches this line perfect. And it's going to help stretch. Actually, I did do that side, so it looks like I'm doing the polka dots where I inked. And it looks like an old Italian wall. You know, the Italian pasture. I'm sorry if I always get things wrong. You know how you do the Italian wall with the plaster? One of my favorite looks. I'd like to have a room in the house and have somebody plaster the wall. And the waterfall, again, will be done last because I'll use the scraps. I am really trying to stretch this line with just the one package of our French country to see if we can get it done with just one, adding our extra bow bunny papers. So you wouldn't even know it doesn't belong to the line. It's just gorgeous. Okay, page 4. Now, we've got quite a few pieces and parts with page 4. We still have our magnets, remember. Then we have this piece that has to go down. And I chose the stripes. French Deja Vu it's called. I chose this side, and this is where I'm bringing in, well, if I can get a hold of it, this is the Berry Vintage by Bo Bunny. Again, it looks gorgeous, so it's going on the inside. Right there. And this is going down here, but we have magnets to place first. So my magnets are sitting here. Now we have, this was our, let me move this. Okay, this is the piece that will come up and hold our flap down. See, and it won't go in all the way because your page is only so far. Let me pull it out just a hair. We're going to attach it down. We will be making a pocket, and I'm just checking on this one where I put the magnet. And on here. Okay. So it looks like I have a magnet here and then on here. So I'm going to go ahead and put this down. We're going to put this on top. See, I just need a wet one to keep on the glue. See, I just lay it on top of my glue bottle, and it helps to keep that tip from gumming up while I'm working. So we can go ahead and put the inside piece on. And that's what's nice. You can choose which side. Both sides are just gorgeous. So you have a lot of choices when adding this cardstock. Glue to the corners, make sure everything's down. My hand went to sleep. It's the angle I was holding it. Okay, now you can either measure and then totally center this, and I'm not, but like I said, see, you can only go in so far with it, and it touches the edge. Now I'm going to bring it about 1/16 of an inch, or 1/8 of an inch, more like it. Yeah, just so it comes all the way over my flat. Magnet. and we can put our matting on top. And again, I'll do all this matting, and we will be making this pocket. I'm just double checking to see how I did it. Very simple. Okay, back side. Okay. Oh, I chose the black one, so I'm going to use, and I'm sorry, I'm not looking at the names, but you guys will be able to tell. So that's going to go there. Now this was the piece I cut off of here. Actually, I'll turn it so my fleurs all go the same direction. Now to break that up, I'm going to be using the espresso or the decaf vintage with this, because that breaks it up right there. And also I'm going to put it on the inside here. And we will be doing these, but I'm going to do these last, but I'm not going to forget to do them with you because we're going to poke the hole, and we will be doing a tie instead of the magnets. Otherwise, it takes 2 more sets of magnets. And if you've already made your pages and you've already done the cover, so you may even be skipping this video, or you may get into it and say, oh, I don't want to watch a mat. I can mat my own. and that's okay too. At least the important part of the videos are done. The construction. Okay. This part is just kind of seeing what I'm putting down in case, you know, you're having a hard time deciding. But you can see there's a lot of nice area for pictures. And I think this would be a real fun album for like the old farm pictures. We had a farm in Missouri, and my grandmother, it was well water and outhouses. So I'm not that old. It's just she was that old. And I have pictures out at the water pump when I was 2 and 3 years old. So I think they would be really cool in this. For some reason, I didn't get my corners. I mean the edge. See how nifty that glue bottle is? You can just shove it right under that paper with that tiny tip. It's great. Okay, so I'm going to put, and I believe that I am going to put those pictures in since I have them available, and then I'll be able to show the finished album actually matted with pictures. I've never shown one matted. Okay, black on black's a little hard to see. Now, oh, for the pocket, I cut this just a hair over 6 inches long. You don't need to have it the full length of your page. And then I did cut it 5 7/8. So I apologize, I haven't been giving the measurements because the pages are pretty well, you know, the same. I should have told you though. This one, yeah, I cut it at 6 by 5 7/8 wide. There's no sense in putting your whole piece of paper in here. And then this piece was the leftover. Oh, goodness, can't get a hold of it. All right. Now, these flaps we'll come back and do. And there is one thing I did not do. We were going to see if we needed a magnet to hold this down before we matted it. But you know what? We don't. It sits very nicely because it's heavy. So I knew, see, I told you I would probably forget somewhere along the way. But actually, it'll be fine. It looks like it's going to hold just fine. It's heavy enough. It's not flipping up. See, it might a little bit, but that's okay. And to be honest with you, if it did, look at that. We can actually just set it inside this pocket. It's a little, yeah, not quite what we meant to do, but that's what happens when we forget the magnets. But once we tie this down and mat it, there's not going to be a problem. I love it. I just love this paper. Okay, let's get on to this page. Now, I'm not going to pre-cut the paper because I want to show you. I've been pre-cutting it, but I want to show you how I did this. And so let me just go through here because we've got a lot of black here. So I need, and it's going to be, yeah, it'll be facing this one. So we want to keep, well, that's pretty. Problem is it won't show. Yes, it will. So actually I'm going to turn this over and I'm going to cut this side, my 5 7/8 by 8 3/8, because you see this, I want this on my pocket. So I'm going to make that fit on the pocket, and it will be black on black, and that's okay. Let's try it. There's our 8 3/8. Now, trim some of that off the side. And see, that way this is going to be right there. So let me show you how I do that. What I do is I just put, and you don't even have to have it cut the width. All right, let's just set it down inside there. Might be a little. Don't worry about tracing that. All we need is this straight line here. Straight line here. Straight line there. Now see, my French country's in the middle, and actually I can turn this over. So I'm going to cut just above, just below that line. So my pencil mark's on this left-hand side. So when I cut it, so I've cut the pencil mark off, and now it'll be the right size. Same with this side one, and I will still cut my corners. Now let's put it in sideways. I know it's hard to see the line, but now I have my diagonal. And before I cut my corners, I'm seeing some pencil mark here. There we go. So what I'm looking is to see how it fits. Because when these don't fit, what you want to do is trim it from the bottom. If you start trimming from these edges, that could be why you have trouble with it fitting. You basically want to take from the bottom or from this side, not your inside edges. I find that that's what messes up the fit. All right, that looks good. So let me go ahead, cut my corners, and it's as easy as that. And I do need to trim. So remember, only trim from these outside edges. Once you get into the inside edges, you can tend to screw up. to fit. And it has to do with your angles. Love it. Now, one thing, my little cutter, I'm not too happy with it, but sometimes I have to use it. So I just want to sand that off. And if you don't have a sanding block, you might want to pop down to Lowe's and grab one because they are so handy to have. Now we'll just cover that up. Actually, I could have just really distressed it and tore up the edges. But that's okay. I won't do it this time. Because this is that shabby paper. You could really tear up the edges, distress them, and give it really that custom look. But I also want this to be easy enough for a beginner. So I don't want to, you know, throw a bunch of stuff on you if you're not ready. Because I will do some of that in my decorating. So I promise, if that's one thing when I go to do the decorating, if I'm doing anything crazy or off the wall, I will film it for you. Okay, now decisions. So I want to keep it all the dark because the next page, or just break it. I think I'll break it up with this. See, these two will be facing. So we have some of the same colors going on for a layout. And let's do our edges. Such pretty paper, a lot of awesome fussy cutting pieces. Okay, open your pocket a little. Slide that down. Make sure, yeah, see, nothing's stuck. Spatula is a lifesaver when it comes to pockets. And that's that. Pretty cool, huh? Okay. Whoops, we didn't do the back side. Okay, and we're moving right along. Back side. Oh, there we go. This is gorgeous. This is gorgeous. Cut this down to the 5 7/8 by 8 3/8. Now, put that down. See, now you'll be able to go back. You should have a nice little pile of scraps starting because you'll have a piece now that fits. That one doesn't quite fit, but you will have. And that's one reason not to do these smaller pockets until that time. Oh, and inside each one of these flaps, or these pockets, you'll want to cut 4 1/2 by 3 1/2. So you'll want 4 of those that will fit inside. 4 1/2 by 3 1/2. That was pretty too. The whole line is just gorgeous, this whole collection. There we go. I buried my pages. Where's my page? Here it is. Okay, now if you remember, we put our corners in here. And I will show you on matting how easy these are to mat. Let's go ahead and put our paper on the back of here, which I'm going to use this other half because it's just perfect. To be honest with you, I could use a whole album made out of that one. That's my favorite sheet. So it looks like this album can be matted with one collection pack. Well, it's a good thing that this doesn't matter which way this page goes, because that would have been upside down. Good thing I chose that design. I thought that was wrong with the hinge not there. We would have just reversed it. This would have been the back instead of the front. But we're okay. This can really go either direction. Make sure my corners are down. Okay. When you mat these, when we put these down, the one thing to remember is you want the two solid pieces right here, because when it folds down, otherwise you can't put these down anyway. So we're going to put this down. Now when you mat, you have a 3 1/4 by a 3 1/4 inch square. So you do 3 1/8 by 3 1/8. And all you're going to do when you cut that square is then you'll diagonally cut it. And oh well, let's use this one. So let me give you an idea here. 3 1/8. And that's approximately 3 1/8. Then all you do is put this in your cutter diagonally. Now we have 2 squares. And this isn't the exact size. I knew my 3s weren't. This is a little bit bigger. And then you'll be able to, like so, mat those. So that's how you do is, once you get your circle or your square cut, then you just diagonally cut it. I didn't do a perfect measuring on my scoreboard. I was just guesstimating. And then you'll be able to put them down like so. So that's not hard at all to mat. But let's go ahead, fold this back up. Oh, and you'll want to do 1, 2, 3, 4 of the squares that you're going to cut in half. And then, of course, just your 2 solid squares. And then 1 for the front. I'm just leaving a little bit of a border. Grab the top and pull that up. There's that one. Now, so you have to decide, because it will depend on your placement. If you have it this way, it's going to open this way. And you'll pull it this way. I wanted it to open so that each, get a hold of the bottom here. There we go. So let's see that each one came out as an extension of the page that way. And I'll leave the same amount of border. Glue oozing out there. When the glue dries on your fingers, it kind of flakes and looks like skin pieces. It's really a different glue. And then it gets on your black paper and you're like, ah, I'm shedding. Okay, we have those down. Back page. So we have our pockets, and then we have this line. And of course you'll do your waterfall. And let's go ahead and cut our matting, which is 2 7/8 by 8 3/8. Let me check and see what we have left. I think I have not. So I'm going to use this one. And I'm going to use this side, make sure I get these chickens over here. And I'll do the blue on the inside. That'll be really pretty. I forgot about this one. So 2 7/8 by 8 3/8. So I'm going to go this way. Nope. I don't want to cut my paper wrong. Sorry, this will just take a second. And make sure if you're using pattern Pacific, for, if it's the pattern that's going the directional, you want to make sure that you're cutting it in the right way. And I'm just having to do some strategic cutting so I don't cut the image's heads off that I want to use. There we go. I didn't want to cut off the little girls. So once again, you don't need to go all the way in, so I'm going to cut a 4-inch piece. Four inches by 8 3/8. Trim that. Oh no, that's just fine. Yes, it looks like you definitely can do this album with one collection pack and a few sheets from the Bo Bunny. You don't even really have to stretch it with the Bo Bunny line if you don't want to, from the amount I have left over. So it's a big album. It's white. It just looks like it takes a lot of paper. Now I will be using this blue though on some of those waterfalls because I've really gone for the reds and the golds. And I need to add some blue now throughout my album to coordinate with the blue flowers and whatnot. I tend to go to the golds and reds. Turn this so I can get this down into the pocket. And why do they always want to be stubborn once you get the adhesive on? And then get it all over your fingers. And all over the paper. Ah, goodness. Glue on that corner. Oh, I guess I didn't. It's the way the paper looks wiped off. Wait a minute, don't tell me. Looks like I wore the corner off. Odd. Get some glue off my fingers. Okay, and we'll have our waterfall. Okay, that's our pages. Can you believe it? We're at the point where we can go ahead and put them in our book, and then we will build our inside and back cover and the waterfall. And we will cover the cover here. Now, one thing I did forget, and I noticed that, was the score tape. We need to put score tape on our hinges. Okay, so should have done this before we put it in the book, but we're going to do it now. One thing I like to do is I bring my score tape to the top. I know that's different, but with so many flaps, I don't like their tape to be taped down here at the bottom. And this is where I want it to hold anyway. And where am I using a 1/4 inch? I'm going to go to 3/8 of an inch. To watch my keyboard that I don't move it so I don't mess up our video. Yeah, put it right at the top. Even if it comes over the top just a hair, it won't hurt anything. If you put it way at the bottom, you're going to have tape showing, and you don't want your page clear at the bottom. It's not going to go on the bottom the way I show you. And it's how to make your pages so they lay flat. And this really is easier if you do it before we put our hinges on. I just completely forgot. And there we go. Let's just make sure everything's on there. And grab your pages. So I'm going to start with the back one. And if you recall, we need to put it down here at the bottom. So I'm going to try it without removing my score tape. And it fits perfect. See, now when we lay our page down, you're going to end up with a space here. And your page will be laying flat, and there's no room, wiggle room. So you don't have to worry about it being crooked or going off in, you know, Neverland, because you don't have it on there straight. And let's go ahead and remove our score tape. These are a little easier to put on than just the full pocket page because you have, well, you can't put your hand through, but you can actually see what you're doing. Unless you're using black paper. Okay, so I'm just going to put them up here, lay it down, and push. Lay it over and push. Now see, we are basically telling this page what we want it to do, and I want it to lay flat. So it's laying pretty flat. There's some stiff hinges. So our next one, I just want to make sure that everything's going to fit. Oh, I'll just push that over. Need to pay attention. Now when you push this down, automatically brings up a space. Then it lays right on top of the next one. And this is why I don't miter my edges. Once you miter those edges, you've changed the size of this. And I don't like there to be any wiggle room. I like my page to go on exactly how it's supposed to fit. And then I don't have to worry about it not meeting and matching, you know, and being crooked, your pages being crooked. Okay. So that's not so scary. This way. Now, if you see right there, I may have to add a little bit of glue. Yeah, I'll probably have to, and that's okay. Oh, but the tape might grab it. It got it. Okay, this is the pocket. And it will slide on just like your regular, like a regular pocket page. Just having to make, there we go. This is some sticky tape. There we go. Again, push it to the side so you have that space. One page to go. Awesome. This album, I have to admit, has come together a lot easier than the first time I did it. Of course, the first time I was designing it, and I don't usually redo albums, but I did that one quite a few years ago, so it's kind of fun to be recreating this because it's one of my favorite albums. Ooh, see, I didn't get my page quite far enough down. I don't think. There I go talking instead of paying attention. That's okay. I guess I'll get that score tape up. Now, so you have plenty of decorating room. And it'll fill up once you start putting in your mats, your tags. And we are going to now build the 2 waterfalls and our pocket. So let's go ahead and mat this page. And I did not use a pool. So our covers are different sizes though. We're looking at 6 7/8 by 8 7/8. So I'm going to get this one cut. And I'm not going to put this down yet. I'm just checking the fit. You don't want any of your paper in the hinge. So trim it what you need to keep it away from the hinge. Yes, and it can be hard to tell sometimes. Nope, that looks good. Now, we don't want to put this down yet because we need to make our waterfall pieces. So, you're going to cut 2 pieces that are 3 1/2. Three and a half. Why is this so small? 3 1/2 by 6 1/2. We made our covers a little bit bigger. That's why. I sure did. Okay, so we're going to cut ours. We need 2 that are 3 1/2. And go the width of your paper. And mine's 6 3/4. So 2 3 1/2 by 6 3/4. 6 3/4 flat. Okay. Get my black. And this is my last piece. So let me see if I've got, I'm sure I've got plenty of, oh yeah, plenty of scraps. By 3 1/2. And I want to check it. That's fine. So I did cut 3 1/2 by 6 5/8. So measure yours first. Then let's cut our pockets. So I made the pocket 6 1/2. Another, so you need a 6 1/2 by 3 1/2 inch piece. And you should have scraps. So I'll take this out because I need to ink that. So this album is actually going to be just a hair larger. So for our 2 flat pieces, let's see what I did here. You know, only I could get 3 pieces that are not the same size. These don't have to match perfect, but these 2 really do need to be the same size. What did I do? So I just need to cut. All right. Let me just cut this one off to match. Three and a half inch side, we are going to score at 1/2. And our pocket piece, we will score the 3 edges. So we're going to score at 1/2, 1/2, and 1/2. And we'll make these just like we made everything else inside. Straight across. Now on this one, I'm going to mat because we're placing it right on top, so I'm going to miter those corners. It just keeps them from poking up over the top. See, that glue's coming off my fingers, and I'm really not shedding. Now with this little pocket here at the bottom, you can actually create this any size you like. So if you want it to be bigger, wider, you can. I'm just doing it as a little tuck spot underneath the waterfall pieces. And that we will put on after we mat the page. These will go on just like a waterfall. I need to double check that. So I'm just going to make my corners match. Let me see something. Did I? Oh, I see what I did. All right, we'll end up cutting our mat piece just a little shorter, but that's okay. That's no harm done. So grab your book. I'm going to turn it upside down because our first piece is going right at the top where my matting, excuse me, right where my matting is. And I'm not mitering the corners because, no, I'm just going to get glue everywhere. I'm going to, we'll put a 1/2 inch strip there. So I'm bringing it towards the outer edge here because we don't want it near the hinge. And then our next one, sit right on the edge of that. Now, we have some magnets already there, so let's see what we can do from the cover. I know there's one close by. Why did, oh, it's on the front. Oh, we can't play off that through the chipboard. Shoot, I tried. Okay, what we're going to have to do, it's going to have its own magnet, and possibly, let's see, I'm going to have to, yeah, they're not the right ones, but that's okay. This one's awful clean. So what I'm doing, since they're opposites because they came out of different packages, so actually I'll go ahead and put this one here under the top flap. And this guy will catch here. But I have to change, I have to use score tape. And I'm just actually going to leave that there. Because these are some sticky magnets between these and the score tape. I don't know if they've changed formulas or what, because they're a lot stickier. I'll show you what we're going to do. Okay, so it grabbed my waterfall, and it's down, and I'm not going to bother to take that off until we put the mat down. Then I'll take that paper off, and it's okay if it sticks. So now we just need to shorten this mat piece. And I'm going to have it come all the way to the top. So mine's 8 1/4. So I'm going to take it down to 8. And I am taking just a hair off the sides again. Well, only I could cut it too short. And that's okay. I'll put a strip there. I was using my cutter sideways, and that's what happened. So it's okay. We have a lot of these border strips that'll look gorgeous across the top. And I'll probably do it as a decorative punch, and then you can stick a picture up underneath it. So nobody but you and I will know that I cut it too short. Of course, I'm keeping this. So that's pretty too. I'll go with the lighter. I always do that after I ink the side. Now I can take that paper off. And I'm matting it towards the bottom so that I make sure my bottom's covered. Up here, I already know I need to fix that. I'm just rubbing that score tape on there with the magnets. Edges down. Okay. Then our pocket, I will just sit down here towards the bottom. And while I'm doing this, I was thinking what I'll probably do is I will do one other short video, and it will be part of showing the inside. And I will go ahead and we'll mat the cover. See, that's the problem. I can't decide, but we'll get our cover matted. And I'll come back and do another video that's the decoration of the cover. So this will get you pretty busy this weekend. Now, this back one, and that's where my big boo-boo is. So what I did is I need to mat it, and I need a pocket. And what I did with the Mother Goose, though, I did it quite different. It was shaped different. So I was able to cut the Mother Goose. It was actually a piece left over. But I really don't want my pocket with the French country going sideways. And I can hear you out there saying, don't cut it, don't cut it. Okay, let me look. I think we have this side that I have not used with the blue sunflowers, and I did use that early on. So I'm going to cut my mat out of the blue stripes, and I'm going to take it the 6 5/8 again by 8 7/8. Okay, the camera stopped. Forget it stops at an hour, but we didn't lose anything. Actually, I cut this piece shorter because we have to build the pocket that goes here. Completely forgot. So mine is 5 1/4 inches wide, maybe just a hair more. And then my pocket piece is 3 1/2, and I stopped just short of the 10-inch mark. So 3 1/2 wide. Yeah, it's a little wider because it was a scrap. And we want to score this on the 3 sides. So 1/2 long side, and then 1/2 inch on the 2 short sides. That's kind of just a habit. You really don't have to do that. I don't know why I still do it. Old habits. Now grab the cover because we have to check the size. And check it from the top to the bottom. So if yours matches side to side perfectly, you're good to go. If not, you just need to fix your score line a little, make it a little bit shorter, like we did on one of the other pockets inside, and just fold that end up till it fits. Or if you're happy with the fit, then we're good to go. You can go ahead and put that down. And see, when I mat it, this will be far enough into the pocket you won't see, but we won't be wasting that paper. I only have to paint the 3 edges. Make sure, oh, I should have done it before I paint the edges. Make sure it's going to fit. Nope. Let me take a little bit off the edge. I did cut that just a little too much off. I really don't like that showing. That's too short. So we're using it. I'm probably the only one that can see that seam. Oh, goodness. You know how it just jumps out of your hands sometimes? Okay, now, again, I'll do that later with scraps because I don't have any more pieces cut. That's cool. I've got quite a bit left. I'm impressed. I'm glad. So we actually did a lot without using a lot. Waterfall. So let's build our waterfall. So we have waterfall pieces that are, because we needed them to fit, 3 1/4 by 4 1/2. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 3 1/4 by 4 1/2. Let me write that down so I don't forget. Three and a quarter by 4 1/2, and then the base piece is going to be, I did it a little bit longer than 6. Man, I put little magnets actually on each one of those. I'm just double checking to see. Yep, it is 6. So 3 1/4 by 6 is your base piece. And I put 1, 2, wow, 3. Like I said, I made this a while ago. I may have to still do that, a small magnet on every single one of them, but we'll see. Now for this, I'm thinking you should have some scraps. So 3 1/4 by 4 1/2. I got 4. And I did say 5, didn't I? 1, 2, 4, 5. Okay, and then we need one that is 6 inches long for the base. So let's put them all together, make sure they're all the same width. And on the 4 1/2 inch side, we're going to score it 1/2 of an inch. And all of them but your base. Like I said, we're going to put this down in the book, and I'm going to try it with 2 large magnets. I really I can't even tell you why I used a magnet on every single waterfall. I'd rather not. but they were the small ones. So okay, grab your base and making sure, again, everything's the right width. Things are straight. Now, you should be a pro if you aren't, if this is the first album you've done with waterfalls, because you've had an opportunity to make quite a few of them. Oh, I was going to chomp my corners. I'll still do that, but I can do it later. It's just easier to do them all together. How is it possible to get it on crooked? But it is. No. There we go. Awesome. Now, the only thing is, you do not want to put this down until you mat this. What on earth happened here? For some reason, oh, you guys, I'm so sorry. I don't know why this is smaller than this one. Wow, it sure is. Let me measure these hinges. Our hinges are wider. I'm not sure why. But that's, well, since this isn't going to fit here, I am going to move it. And that's what you do when things don't fit. Now, this waterfall will now go here instead of here. Your only other option is to cut this down to like 3 inches. I have a professional cutter, so I can cut mine. I don't know if you have like the dolly cutter where you could cut it. See, I can put that in my dolly cutter, and then I can just turn it this way in and bring that blade across and cut it. The other option is, you know, that's what happens when you remake handmade items. They don't always turn out the same. Is to, let's go ahead and put it here. Actually, that looks really cool on this waterfall, on this piece. So let me go ahead and I'm going to cut this a piece that's 3, what did we say, by about 9, 3 by 8 and 7/8. And I'm looking for, hoping I still had a, it's not wide enough by the yellow. So I'm going to cut this at 3 inches. So I can show you what I'm talking about. So that's hair too long. Okay, there we go. Well, see, you just never know what's going to happen when you're constructing handmade. And so now I know one large magnet will work. And I think what I will do there, you know, the pocket we made on the front, where we just did the front cover, I think I'll do another one that's just 3 inches, and it will hold like a lollipop stick mat to journal on to fill up that spot. Or I may leave it for the smaller pictures. I really don't know why this came out a different size. Okay, with this waterfall then, it looks kind of cool. You want to make sure then it's about a thumb's width that I'm going to put it in. Actually using my flowers. I like it. It looks really kind of cool. And our large magnets. And I have to see if I can get these guys apart. I actually used them in another project, and then I took them out. They look like heck, but hey, they are magnets. Which side? Okay. Clean this off. Just clean out the old sticky the best I can because they're still usable. Even though, see, that's just glue. It'll be underneath the paper. But I really don't want these to connect again because they were a booger to get apart. So I'll just add a piece of score tape. And the first one will go right there. See, it looks terrible, but nobody but us will know. Okay, it may not be workable here. I need to move it down. Now that one down far enough on the page. I knew I was going to get that old magnet that I had in that other project worked into something. There we have our waterfall. We just placed it different, and we can still put mats in here. Looks kind of cool, a little bit different. Then I'll get the inside matted. I'm not sure yet what I want to mat it with. And I want to, I'll do this. I'll do it as part of the walkthrough of the finished album, so I'll save that to the very last, do it on camera, and then these I'm just going to be matting with our scraps. Now this whole page though I'll do on camera to show you how I used cut apart for the pocket, kind of like a faux pocket where you don't make the scoring marks for it. And oh, pockets there, you just mat that. I'm just making sure I'm going through everything. Oh, what I was going to tell you. Okay. The mats. What I did is I used just a piece of ribbon on each one as a pull tab. Doubled it in half and put it under the matting. And then you'll be able to just pull it. So your mats or your tags are 8 1/4, excuse me, 8 1/4 by 5. So they're 5 inches wide by 8 1/4 long. And I have the hiccups. I'm so sorry. I will be doing the pull tab again with the ribbon. So if you're going to mount both sides, you can put it on the front or the back, but it really does look nice, and it enables you to pull it. Plus, see, it sticks out at the top. So actually, you can pull a mat out without even taking it out of your album. So there you have our French Country album. I will be back with a last video for the walkthrough. We will do, I'll do those 2 pages where I need to show you the string. Again, to give you an idea of the walkthrough, and I'll make, some of these specialty things on the next video, just to give you an idea of some of the things I did. So it was just using your scraps up, matting using your chipboard elements, seam binding, and then gluing them on, just cutting things out of your collection and using them on pop dots. That's on pop dots. So I will show these, like I said, these specialty things. I will get them all cut, and then I'll just go through and show you the decorations. Again, just using the scraps, cutting a 3/8 of an inch strip to cover all of my spaces in between my waterfalls. We'll be making that. Yeah, this one I already mentioned to you. The booklet, and I know the cut aparts that are in the French Country they're the same size. So this is 8 1/4, and I scored it at 4 1/8 to make my booklet, and it is 6 1/4 inches long. And you can make as many of those as you want to go in your album. Then I had measured these for you, but I'll do it again. So you'll want 4 of these at 3 1/2 by 4 1/2. And I showed you how to do that. These are just chipboard pieces. Oh, the little pearls falling off. I'll have to glue that. Again, chipboard pieces, because I basically, there was not a lot left with this line, and I used what I had. And we already did our waterfall, and I'll go ahead and get my inside matted. And I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. I'm so glad I did get to do it again. I'm glad I finally got it done, but I couldn't have thought of a better paper. And I will be doing a tutorial coming up with the Master Detective that I'm excited about. Again, this is just one of the chipboard, and I did cover the back of it. The flower fell off. That happens after years of pulling it in and out. And I'll come back and do all these on camera for you, though. And again, more chipboards. And you do have a chipboard sheet if you did buy the collection. Or you may already have it in your stash hanging out, and you can use it up. So thank you, everybody. And thanks for watching my tutorial. Bye-bye.